You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Weird Science Comics YouTube channel, where I have a bit of breaking news here. I don't have my breaking news sound, so I'll just use this.
Wolfman.
It's the Wolfman. This is something where in May, for Asian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, they're going to be launching a bunch of mini-series with Asian and Pacific Islander characters that is going under the imprint, or at least kind of the banner, We Are Legends. And the banner looks pretty cool. I saw the banner. It looked pretty neat. The problem is the name itself really harkens back to the New Age of Heroes for me for some reason. It might be just the idea of these characters kind of being these side characters that you don't really know much about. You're going to throw it out there. And I'm not going to pish-posh this too much. Obviously, the books aren't out, and any book can turn out to be great. I'll just tell you that the initial reaction that I had and the sniff test, I don't know that these are going to sell. When you end up having these characters in books, and while you have a Blue Beetle book that isn't selling at all, or you don't even get to have, say, a Firestorm book or something like that, I don't know that Xanthe, City Boy, and the Vigil are going to be something that everybody's chomping at the bit to buy. And I think that maybe the problem is as they were introduced, you didn't really get a lot from them. I don't think that a lot of people are out there already proclaiming that City Boy is their all-time favorite character. So maybe you needed to introduce them a couple more times and a couple more things, give them a little bit of a character behind them before you actually launch a mini-series. And these all are mini-series, which makes sense. I think that is a cool play. And recently, like something with Poison Ivy or even Swamp Thing, you end up where if it does well, you can extend it. And I think that could happen if these end up doing well. But there's 3 books coming out so far, as we know. I'm going to go through each one. The first bit is DC Spirit World title, brings a new hero, Xanthe, Cascane Batgirl, and Constantine this May. And they are all launching in May, and this is spinning out of February 14th's Lazarus Planet Dark Fate #1. Spirit World by writer Alyssa Wong and artist Haining stars new DC hero Xanthe, a non-binary Chinese hero with a connection to the spirit world, the realm of the dead, and powers connected to the afterlife. That sounds okay. Xanthe's powers allow them to summon objects from the spirit world by crafting them out of joss paper, a traditional East Asian incense paper that is often burned in remembrance of dead loved ones. By burning objects made of joss paper, Xanthe can summon the actual corresponding object to the physical world, including the massive sword that is their signature weapon. It feels like it's the ancient mystical version of a 3D printer. That's what it seems to me. But it's okay. It's almost having like a construct type power, but done in that cool way. That seems neat. Alongside Xanthe, who is described as, quote, a master of the dark arts, the 6-issue Spirit World Limited series also brings in John Constantine and Cassandra Cain Batgirl for an adventure that delves in the eponymous Spirit World itself. Again, something that Jack Kirby was involved with. So that's pretty cool there. When Constantine shows up saying Xanthe scammed him into buying something, he finds them and Batgirl Cascane fighting an abnormal influx of Jiangshi, Chinese hopping vampires, which actually is in a brand new manga, Jiangshi X, over at the manga side of things that we end up having our Marvel podcast at The Weird Science. And we're talking about that pretty much right now in the present. And joins in to help reads DC's official description of Spirit World #1. So that might end up having a bit of a manga feel, which would be something that would be smart. I mean, really, manga sells. Let's get this going. But here's the thing. Again, when I'm going to go through each of these, I'm going to ask everybody, are you going to buy a book just because Alyssa Wong is writing it? Because I'm not. I'm not a big fan. But the character seems cool enough, but it's one of those like, would you put it on your pull list? Would you put down money or will you wait? Now, this is why I think that one of those things that's pretty cool with the Ultra subscription, if you have that with DC, you only have to wait a month out, see how it is. Everybody can read it, something like that. I just wonder who's going to end up sight unseen buying that #1, but there'll be people. There'll be people buying it. I just wonder how many. The next deal is City Boy. DC's new hero, City Boy, gets his own globe-trotting title this May. And City Boy from writer Greg Pak and artist Minkyu Young and Sunny Gao first appeared in November's Wildstorm 30th Anniversary Special #1, returning in January 31st, Lazarus Planet, Legends Reborn #1. And now he's getting his own 6-issue limited series, which takes his unique power to communicate with cities themselves on a tour of many of the DC Universe's most famous fictional locations. I don't know. You're setting up a story that already feels like, one of those like fetch quest type deals. It feels like it's set up that I don't know that I need that. We kind of had that a bit with the Monkey Prince book. Where he's just going to each, but there he was meeting the famous characters from each. So in that, I've read both stories. I've read both the Wildstorm 30th Anniversary Special with City Boy, and then obviously has read the Lazarus Planet Legends Reborn #1. And I still don't know that I have enough of a feel for City Boy to think, all right, I need a book from him. I need a 6-issue mini. It's kind of like one of those where, I don't know, after these little tiny stories in these anthology deals, it almost felt like I had enough. But that's me again. But is anybody there? Greg Pak is one of those guys. He's written some huge stories, but is he somebody that you end up sight unseen putting any book he does on your pull list? Right now, I am pulling and reading and enjoying enough the Darth Vader book that he does at Marvel. But overall, I like Greg Pak. I don't love him, and it's not like I'm going to just grab a book because he wrote it. And City Boy, just don't know that much about him to get that excited. That's what all these kind of end up being. Maybe you need it just like one more appearance set on the idea of, okay, let's make people want these characters in a series. The stuff that we've got so far just feels like, let's just throw that out there. Let's go. And I'm really going to say that in the last book, but we'll continue with City Boy. Cameron King is just a kid trying to make a living, using his powers of speaking to cities to find lost and hidden goods to pawn. Just trying to get by, explains DC's announcements. Really, he goes and uses his powers as almost like a mystical version of a metal detector, and he's trying to find trinkets. That's not that interesting. It really isn't. Now, that could lead to other things that you end up going and having the deal, but having these powers also means that he hears everything about these cities everywhere and all at once, including their histories and the truths behind them. It continues. In his 2 current appearances, he's already made friends with Gotham City, including a rat avatar made from the city's scraps, but only time will tell if City Boy is received as openly by Metropolis, Amnesty Bay, Themyscira, which seems odd, or other cities in the DC universe. And yeah, I wonder who's getting that. But again, I'm sure there'll be people who say, oh my God, I can't wait. And that's great. So we'll see. The last one is The Vigil. The Vigil, DC's mysterious new superhero team, gets its own title this May. The Vigil, or so it's rumored in hushed tones around the DC universe, according to DC's promotional material, is a team of secret metahumans who have a specific mission to take out experimental weapons before they can be used by evil hands. And in May, they're getting their own limited series from writer Xanthe and artist Lalit Kumar Sharma. And this was where we did end up introducing those in the one Lazarus Planet one-shot. And to me, it was one of the worst introductions to anything I've ever read. You didn't even know the characters' names yet. You had no idea what was going on. They're just thrown at you. There was nothing in that one-shot that made me think, oh my God, I can't wait to see them again, because I had only the idea of, I want to know maybe what they are, because I have no idea what the hell's going on here. And I worry with the old Xanthe. Not great at limited series. The idea that I said earlier that Swamp Thing got extended, was that extended because of sales? Because it wasn't. It may have been extended because of critical acclaim, which I didn't love the Swamp Thing book, but tons of people did love it. Not a ton of people bought it. If you look at the sales, it did not sell. But then at the end of the 10 issues it was supposed to be, the story wasn't over, so it was extended. I still think it's Ranve's evil plan that he ended up not finishing the story. They had to give him 6 more issues to finish the damn thing. So will that happen here? Will he be able to tell? Because even in Detective Comics, this guy likes to take his time. He likes to take his time, and he likes to drive me insane, is what he likes to do, whether he knows it or not. Though me and him have had a bit of an argument on Twitter at points. So with all that, though, do you sit there and after you read that one-shot Lazarus Planet deal, did you say, like, man, this team's awesome? Oh, man, these characters are great. The only thing that you could say is, well, they have okay character designs, maybe, and I want to, what the hell's going on? Maybe I can find out later. And that's the only thing, the only reason I think people would get this. But Ram V, while I said he doesn't really sell books with his name, he's a good writer. He is. I'll admit, he's a good writer. It's just his writing doesn't jive with me. But the Vigil is Arclight, Seiya, Dodge, and Castle. A group of individuals given powers they didn't want, determined to stop metahuman research and tech created for military applications at any cost. DC's announcement explains. And through this announcement, it made me laugh because they were in that Lazarus Planet one-shot tie-in, but it doesn't seem like their powers have anything to do with Lazarus or the Lazarus, storm. I'm sure that it'll be kind of pulled in of, well, they used the Lazarus resin to do that. It seems like there was no reason for them to be in a Lazarus Planet tie-in when they were pretty much made metahumans by the government, and now they're going around. And what it does actually remind me of a bit is the Revolutionaries, the team that Tom Taylor created for his Suicide Squad run, and then kind of bled into his John Kent run as well. Along the way, they'll encounter superheroes that could be allies or enemies. Not a surprise for a group that exists to shut down state-sponsored superhumans and clean up the mess before any hero or villain arrives, as if both the crime and the Vigil were never there. Oh, my goodness. We'll see. I said at the beginning, I'll repeat it again. Any of these books could be great. They could be the greatest thing that we've ever read. That's the hope. That's the dream. That doesn't often end up working out. But my initial, as I said, sniff test is I don't think these are going to do that well. But they're only 6-issue minis, so maybe the characters get introduced, we kind of get used to them, and then maybe they can go off in other things. You can end up having City Boy then full out in, say, a Stormwatch book. You can end up having the Vigil be a team that maybe Batman Incorporated ends up running up against, something like that. And Xanthe is pretty cool. The only thing I like about Xanthe, or not the only thing, but what I do like is you don't get a lot of that Dark Universe stuff at the moment, so it does allow Constantine to be in that, and you could always expand that. And then if we have a JLD book down the line, or even something like a Teen Titans, but a JLD version, the Dark Teen Titans, you have it. Xanthe's in, right? So maybe these could springboard something down the line as well. I'll be checking them out. We'll be talking about these on our podcast, and I'll try to review those, all over the place. YouTube, podcasts, wherever. Down at the rec center, I'll be talking to people about that. They'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then I'll just start talking about Blackpink again because everybody talks about that. But all in all, let's wait. We'll see how these are when they come out. But we won't fake the funk when that happens either. So if they stink, they stink. If they're great, they're great. That's the new slogan. But thanks, everybody, for listening. And I'm going to get going. I'll talk to you all later.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.